Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today we have one of the rare appearances by Anthony Curtis. This is actually the first time he's been on all year. Anthony Curtis, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Yeah, really. What took you so long, man? I've been waiting.
Yeah, got into week 4, and we didn't even haven't had you yet.
You guys do everything you can to keep me off, but you just can't. You can't do it.
Well, actually, that's true. We do. And if our other guests would show up, you'd never be on. But welcome back. We love having you. Lots of things going on. It's a new year. LBA has a members reward. What's that all about?
Yeah, we're at the printer with that, and we expect it at the end of this week. A good one. It's a good one. Another challenging year. First we had the pandemic, then we came out of the pandemic, and nobody wanted to talk about things like this. And now we just came out of the biggest year that the casinos have ever had in terms of making money. So it took a little bit of work, but we're pretty excited. We've got something like 85 offers right now, including all of the ones that are in the member rewards book and online. We did a assessment of the total value of the member rewards book only, not counting online coupons, and it came out to $1,724.11. So we've got a lot of value in there. We've got, I think, 26 gambling coupons for those. I know most who are watching this, they're interested in that sort of thing. The total gambling EV is $424, and what we call the AI value. AI stands for any idiot. Meaning you don't have to be an expert to get the value out of this. These are free plays and match plays and all that comes to 185. So, you're getting a lot of value there. It's lower. The gambling coupons are a little bit lower than last year, maybe 1/3 lower. And that's not actually the worst thing in the world, because it keeps some of the scammers away who are trying to buy multiple books and always get us in trouble with the places where they overuse them. So we don't hate that. And we've got 2 what we call master coupons this year, which are coupons that by themselves will kind of crush the cost of the book. So you want to hear about those?
Yeah.
By all means.
Okay. Well, first of all, the history of master coupon. This started way back in 2002 when the Palms opened. And George Maloof came to me and he said, I want to be in the book, and I want to have the best offer in the book. And we talked about it, and that's where we got what became famous as the $50 comp. So you could go to the Palms and get 50% off of anything up to $50. So if you wanted, even a room, if you wanted to, spend a couple $100 on a room, you'd get $50 off. So that was the whole idea. You spend 50, you get 50. Well, this year we've got 2 of those. And interestingly, one of them is at the Palms, where they gave us a buy one, get one on their buffet. And now this is strong because the Palms has got one of the best buffets in town. Dinner $30 and $40 range, but they also have this lobster buffet. And the lobster buffet is $65. And when they sent us the offer, I had to get back to them and I said, well, I hated to even ask, right? I just wanted to take it because there were no restrictions. And I said, does this count the lobster buffet? And they came back, they said it counts everything. So right there, anybody who wants to do a lobster buffet, you're going to get one for free. Or if you go by yourself, it's going to be like $37 as opposed to $65. That's the first one. The second one is, and we've been working on this forever, is a complete waiver of resort fees for up to 5 nights at Downtown Grand. Now this is strong because everybody, you just almost can't get out of resort fees. Sometimes even when you've got a comp, they will still charge you the resort fee. And so the deal at Downtown Grand is whatever room rate you can secure, whatever your best rate is, they will waive that resort fee. And the resort fee there is $35 a night.
Wow.
So if you only stay 2 nights, it's $70 in savings. If you stay, 5 nights, it's great. $150, $150, $165. So we're really happy about that. Those are 2 what we call master coupons. You use one of them and you pay for it, and everything else is gravy.
So a lot of our listeners are probably going to be coming to town for Bet Bash. That'd be a good time to, if you need a place to stay close to Bet Bash, you could stay down at the Grand, and
Well,
that would be quite a savings. Yeah.
the Grand is great. I'm telling you, they've got a new GM there, and this guy wants to go back to value. He wants to do things right, and he came to me. I didn't even ask for this because they already gave us a $50 match play. So while you're there, you got a $50 match play coupon. They've got a discount in their restaurant, 25 off 100 in Triple George. And he came to me and he said, "What do you think of this idea?" And I said, "I think that people will go nuts for it." And they're trying to do some things. They got a dollar blackjack table. They got two of them down there now. They're running
$1 to blackjack.
They got two tables with dollar minimums. And I mean, you guys have been out, I'm sure, out on the strip. The $15 is a new $5 now. I mean, you just can't find minimums for under $15 anymore, hardly. And they've got $2 blackjack tables there that run as.
I don't know that that's a good thing. I mean, you could probably never get a seat.
They're pretty full. They tend to be pretty full. And he's talking about putting in a third. So I've gone down and played it just to see what it's like. And I've been.
Although first of all, I don't see how a table like that could actually turn a profit if you have to pay a dealer. But if it does have a bunch of side bets on it, then it could. Well,
I'll tell you what. My information is, they also do it at Oyo, which used to be Hooters. And I've talked to people in both places, and I've observed those games, and not many people bet $1. They can bet $1, and that's kind of what makes it. That's sort of the attraction, and people do bet $1. But not many people bet a constant $1 all the way up. And they start to, nature takes over and they start betting more and they start betting $5. And, I've seen relatively reasonably good money. And I've heard from the inside that they do make money, that they do just fine on these tables. And it's a great way to get people in.
Is it 3-2 or 6-5?
It's 6-5.
Okay.
It's 6-5, and there's actually a funny thing going on. It's even money at Oyo if it's under $5. Okay, they pay 6-5. If it's under $5, it's even money, so it's worse than yet, on the dollar bet. But at Downtown Grand, they round it. They round it up, so you can actually, you're doing even better there. It's really a good game for low stakes. It's a lot of fun. They bring you drinks. It's terrific. We're going to put in a hot dog stand there. I think $1 or $2, $1.50 hot dog stand. They're really trying to get back to like old fashioned value. So big plug there for Downtown Grand.
Wait, have the places loosened? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
If you're betting $1 and getting a blackjack, that would normally be $1.20. Does that mean they rounded up to $2?
No, they rounded up to $1.50.
Oh wow!
Which is 3-2. All right.
The last time I was there, they did that. So everybody, don't hold me to that. I actually even wrote in the last advisor that we will check that out because I checked it a few months ago and that's what they were doing. We'll check it out and see if they're still doing that or if they've, reverted to the even money. So, but here's the thing, on a game like that, you get one free drink. And, if you are staying low and you're playing $1 and $2 and that sort of thing, you get one free drink and you come out ahead. And it's just, it's just nice to be able to do that. Maybe you want to bet $5. Maybe you want to bet, $7 or $8. Well, you can't do that anywhere else. Everywhere else it's 15 and you might find a $10 minimum somewhere. There's a few $5 around town, but this is just nice for those who want to play lower stakes. Maybe you want to go 1 to 10. Who knows? Maybe you're learning your card counting system and you want to go 1 to 10. You can do it there. I think it's great. I love that they're doing it.
Or if you want to teach somebody, right? And they've never played before, they can bet $1 and, learn how to play. So yeah.
Well, those tables are also really social. I mean, I've played on them, I've watched them, and people are just hooting and hollering, having a really good time. It's almost, it's like old Vegas. It's kind of cool. So anyway, I thought, the Downtown Grand doing that with waiving the resort fee. I can't imagine why you really want to stay anywhere else. It's you make a big hit savings right off the bat just on that.
Well, if you get comp somewhere else, that can be better than free resort fee.
Yeah. Of course. Anybody who can do that, they're going to do it. But most people, they're looking for rooms and they're going to have to pay for it. And for the casual visitor, I think it's just a great offer.
Have other places loosened up some? I mean, they were so tight coming out of COVID, and you had lost all the station casinos. Are they still out?
Yeah, the big four, the evil four are Caesars, MGM, Station, and Boyd. And they just categorically will not participate. They do not. And Station and Boyd were our biggest partners. And, they were terrific. But coming out of the pandemic, they don't want to give away anything to anyone. And, that's what's happening right now with food halls, they're now calling them. It's not food courts anymore. They're now calling them food halls. And they're replacing buffets with these. The getting out of the buffets, the pandemic gave them their big opening to close down the buffets. Last year at this time, there were 12 operating buffets. And when we wrote this, thing about what's going to happen in the new year, we wrote about for 2022, we said, well, we expect by this time next year, there'll be 20 or so. All right. There were 12 last year. This year, there are 13. The only reason there's 13 is that the Palms opened and added one. So it doesn't look like buffets are going to come back. They took their opportunity to get rid of them, not because they were losing money, like they say, but because they weren't making enough money and they could do better by licensing to food halls or putting in slots or whatever. And that is the route that the evil four have gone. They're pulling out their buffets like crazy. They're tightening up on everything. They're gouging wherever they can, and they're going to get away with it for as long as the customers continue to come. I don't know how long that's going to happen with the economy we have right now.
All right. So let's, sounds like when the member rewards is available, you're going to send a note to Richard or me, and we'll mention it on the air. And so that several of our listeners normally get them, and the rest we'll let them know when it happens.
Yeah, we expect it on January 20th. It's supposed to be delivered to us on the 20th, and it might run over the weekend to the 23rd, the following Monday. But we expect January 20th we'll have them in-house. And we'll gear up for the onslaught because, man, people come. I can tell you, they come in droves, man, once we got those things ready to go.
All right. So let's do a report card of, is there anything interesting going to happen in Las Vegas in terms of new hotels or changes, stuff like that?
Yeah, a lot for 2023. I mean, if you look back at 2022, almost nothing happened. I mean, the real story in 2022 was, the reopening of the Palms. And aside from that, there really wasn't much. There were some deals made, some sales and things, but for the most part, that doesn't affect the customer. I mean, even the biggest one was the Mirage selling to the Seminole tribe, who is going to come in and take it over, the Hard Rock. Basically, it's going to become a Hard Rock. And all that stuff was happening, but, you didn't see one bit of difference there. But 2023 is going to be a big deal. With the biggest one being the Fontainebleau, looks like it's finally going to open after, more than a decade of looking like it was going to open. The big blue on the north end of the Strip. It looks like it's really going to happen. The first thing that's going to happen, though, is going to be a wildfire. They're calling it downtown wildfire, but you know where it is? It's on the corner where at Boulder Highway, where the Showboat used to be. Okay, so remember the old Showboat, and then they turned into Castaways. And that's going to become a wildfire brand, which is, station casinos.
That seems odd. Why would they make it a wildfire as opposed to a station? Too close to Boulder Station, maybe? I don't know.
Well, what Station is doing now is they're using the wildfires to go into the areas that are a little bit more depressed economically. So, I mean, that area is not exactly one of the, the haughtiest parts of town, right? And what they're doing is they're building in all of the places where the expensive suburbs are. So, I mean, another one that I didn't mention, Durango Station, that's going to open this year. And that's way up in the Northwest where there's, the expensive homes and all of that. And they've just made an announcement that they're following that. They're going to try to start work on one in Henderson in the Inspirada area, which is another, upscale housing area. So that's their strategy now. Is, they're making as much money as they can. They're plowing it all back into their, building new places, but only in upscale neighborhoods. So they're using wildfires for places like where they have land and they want to build, other things like down on Boulder Highway.
Are these going to be upscale joints like Red Rock and Green Valley Ranch?
They're going to be a step below. All right. So, I mean, I don't think you're going to see another station casino that's going to be as high level as those two. They tried to do it with the Palms. It didn't really work for them. And I think that they're out of that business. Green Valley Ranch and Red Rock work real well for them. I think these others are going to be one step below that. So Durango Station and Henderson Station, whatever. I think it's going to be, a step below, but they'll still be very nice. Like, think Aliante, something when it's not theirs anymore, but when they had it, it's going to be, one of those kinds of things. And then we've got, when you're not talking about, you got the Lucky Club way out in North Las Vegas, which is changing brands completely. That's going to turn into a Hispanic themed kind of sports bar casino. So I don't know exactly what that means, but that's something that's going to be debuted this year. And then you've got the big Madison Square Garden Sphere behind the Venetian, which is, they're saying, going to be the most technologically advanced concert venue or events venue on the planet. I guess it's going to really be something.
And when is that supposed to open?
That's going to open also, back towards the end of the year, like around when Fontainebleau is going to open. So a lot of the action on these things, all of those, Durango Station, Fontainebleau, MSG Sphere, and one other one I didn't mention, Atomic Golf, which is going to be a big golfing venue next to Stratosphere. The Formula One paddock that they're building right now, where they're going to be running the races in November. All of this stuff's going to be opening toward the end of the year, except for the downtown wildfire.
Okay. One of the things we like to talk about is Mattress Mack. He makes his bets as a hedge, and you and Frank B get involved, and somehow he comes out smelling like a rose. So was he in the World Series, or what happened there?
Okay, well, everybody's heard about the bet, the big bet he made when, he was hedging a gigantic promotion where the Astros, that everyone would get their money back if the Astros won the World Series. So he had to get hedged up pretty big, and he did to the tune of almost $73 million. And I think we might have mentioned this the last time I was on, but I don't know how much of detail we went into. He hit Caesars for like $30 million. And he made up the rest of it on about 3 or 4 other sports books where he bet and hit him pretty hard. What's amazing about this is a statistic came out later saying that in the history of Nevada sports betting, if you took the winnings, the casinos win every year, right? The sportsbook win every year, but the biggest win they've ever had in a single month, all of them collectively. I don't mean just one. I mean everyone. I don't mean just Vegas. I mean throughout all of Nevada, Reno, Laughlin, the whole thing. The most they've ever won from the customers in a month is $70 million. And Mac won almost $73 million by himself.
In a month or in a year?
In a month. That was their biggest month. So Mac's win was bigger than the biggest month in the history of Nevada. And I'll tell you,
wow.
I think I've said this before. I get on my soapbox one more time. Every time Mac wins or loses one of these big bets, he comes out ahead because these are hedges. And we're getting him into position where he's going to win no matter what. But every time he loses one of these big bets, and they're often square bets because the hedge is paramount. The hedge is the most important thing. So we don't always get the best line. We don't always get a game where it's been handicapped and we think we've got a big edge. We just have to make the hedge. And all we ever hear from these Twitter trolls and everything else is what a degenerate he is and how he's got more money than sense. And screw him, I'm glad he lost. And these people don't know what they're talking about because the guy's making money all the way. I was so happy when he won that bet. I was so happy. I was doing backflips, man. I was doing backflips. I was so happy that shut these people up. It was just great.
Well, the other thing that's great about that is it's much better for him that way because he actually returns all that money to his customers, which has got to be, the greatest advertising he can have for the people who buy furniture and stuff from him.
Well, see, these are the things that these people don't understand. I mean, one periodical put it out there with the headline, Mattress Mack scores big, kinda. And here's what they said. He won $70 million, but he had to give back $70 million in furniture. So what's the big deal? He broke even. What they don't understand is he doesn't pay $70 million for that furniture he had back. He gives back $70 million in receipts. He makes it back in the bet. And his cost of goods is whatever his margin is. And then there's the things that you just brought up. There's the goodwill with the customer. It's already been established that a lot of them take that money and come right back to the store and buy more things. He gets incentives from his manufacturers for selling so much. He gets incentives from the sports books in a form of free bets and percentage cash credits and things like that. I mean, he's getting it from every angle, and he's doing it right. And he's about as smart a businessman as can be. And there's idiots out there going, "This guy's a degenerate." I mean, give me a break. Give me a break.
Well, some degenerates are smarter than others.
Yeah.
So what's his position on the Super Bowl?
Right now, he's got a bet on a game that's going to be played before this airs, and he's on Dallas because it's a Texas team. So if Dallas wins, they're going to get their money back on that. Now, Dallas is unlikely to make it to the Super Bowl, so we'll see. He'll have something going for the Super Bowl. I know he's got a big futures bet on the Bengals right now. So he's bet enough on the Bengals to win. I don't know, about 12 or 13 million. I think he stands to win on that. So the best scenario for us would be if the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they will. They haven't been looking too good lately. But he'll have something. He'll have something going for the Super Bowl. We don't know yet.
Well, we're taping this on the Monday just after Wild Card Weekend, where there's been 5 games so far, and there's still Dallas and Tampa Bay tonight. So of the first 5 playoff games, 4 were up in the air at the last possession. And the only one that wasn't was San Francisco versus Seattle. But all the others came down to the final. Either some did and some didn't cover. And so handicapping in that kind of an environment is what sports is all about. It's like it's exciting as it gets.
There's some crazy things. A lot of people hanging, this weekend. That's for sure on results. And it was pretty exciting to watch. But his isn't until tonight. Like you say, we're taping now, so we don't know the result. To be honest with you, we don't know what side we want on this. But that tells you that the hedge is in place. You know what I mean? Because we don't know. We don't have a clear winner on this. And this one's interesting because if Dallas keeps going and wins, then the promotion will keep going on and we'll have to make other moves. So we'll see. So we don't hardly know what we're rooting for right now. So it's kind of exciting for us too.
While we're talking about football, is there any wrap up on any of the big NFL contests?
Yeah, well, geez. I mean, the contest of all time was Survivor. And that one from beginning to end, I mean, first of all, they got over 6,000 people signed up for it. I think 6,333, something like that. Winner take all pot. So you had 6 million plus at stake. The first 3 or 4 weeks of the contest knocked out like 85% of the players because they were upset after upset after upset. I was out in week 2 and I had multiple entries. And then it got down and it really got wild near the end. Couple of the worst bad beats of all time. I mean, one guy, there were 4, I believe there were 14 left, and all 14, all other. Wait, how did this work? 3 had already. Oh no, I know what it was. 10 had already been knocked out. This one guy had already made it through, and there were 3 more to play. I think they were all on the same game. I can't remember back exactly what it was, but if those 3 had been knocked out, this guy would have won it by himself. So that would have been 13 out of 14 would have been knocked out, and on a really bad beat, the other 3 made it through, and then this guy got knocked out in the next one. So he was less than a minute away. It was like some sort of last second score. He was less than a minute away from winning 6 million. And the next day he was out completely in 1-0, depending on what he did, if he hedged or whatever, But then in the last one was absolutely unbelievable. Where there were 3 left, right? And 2 had made it through already. And one guy needed to just for the Colts to beat the Texans, for him to get his 1/3 share of 6 million plus. And he just needed the Colts to win. The Texans were down by 7 with less than a minute to go. 4th down and 20 on the 28 of the Colts. And the quarterback gets flushed out of the pocket. It looks like he's maybe going to get sacked. He throws it up in the air, and it comes down and goes right through the hands of a defender. It looked like an absolute interception, goes through the hands of a defender and gets caught for a touchdown. So now it's 27-26, I believe is the score, something like that. And the Texans, if they lose this game, they get the number 1 pick in the draft. If they win the game, they don't get the number 1 pick, so they have no incentive to win at all. They decide to go for 2.
Oh, man.
They go for 2, and they make it, and it's over. And this guy loses $2 million just like that. I'm telling you, it's the most evil, sadistic contest that's ever been simulated. It's just horrible. It's just horrible, man.
So maybe this guy had the influence on Marvin Lewis getting fired as soon as the game got over, because when they blew it by winning that game, they blew the first pick by winning that game. Was that enough to get a coach fired?
Yeah, I think so. I'll tell you what. Google the game. Google the last play of that game and watch it. It's you won't believe it. If you put yourself in that position, a $2 million whiff by the defender, it goes right through his arms. He should have, been an interception or knocked it down. Either one, this guy's got $2 million, and it goes right through his arms, and the guy catches it, and then the 2-point conversion. Absolutely unbelievable.
Is the guy still alive? I mean,
no.
Oh, Jesus.
The word came out that, or he said himself, I think he was interviewed, and he said that he was very well hedged. But I'm sure he wasn't hedged to the tune of $2 million. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was hedged. I'm sure he made a couple $100,000 or something. So it's, that takes the sting away. But geez, I mean, it's just something to see.
All right. We're going to take a brief commercial break. We still have lots of things to talk to Anthony Curtis about.
If you're serious about card counting, the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership is a great way to learn, train, network, and get the resources you need to succeed. We've had quite a few guests on Gambling with an Edge who exclusively trained and got their start through Blackjack Apprenticeship. Check out the website at blackjackapprenticeship.com. They have member forums, training software, and guides to help you learn. So that's blackjackapprenticeship.com, and you will find a link in the show notes.
Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Peek and Play Poker. This is a 7 coins per line game where you get to see the first card off the pack of 47 remaining cards after the first 5 are dealt. You must take this card, assuming you don't hold all 5 original ones. Let's say you're dealt Ace, King, Queen, Jack of Spades, and a red 4. In normal video poker, you hold all 4 spades, say a prayer, and hope for a royal. Also assume that the peak card is another ace. Goodbye, royal flush. Here you just hold the ace because you know another ace is coming, and the new ace will be paired by the first ace off the deck. Now you hope for the best from there. You have to work out the strategy on your own. This is one of the games constructed in the era where they did not create games that paid more than 99%.
If you're interested in getting an edge in sports betting, then unabated.com is a great resource for you. Founded by frequent Gambling with an Edge guests, Captain Jack and Rufus Peabody, Unabated is designed for both new and experienced sports bettors. Their real-time odds screen, tools, and calculators take a lot of the guesswork out of trying to quantify your edge. There is plenty of free education and instruction to help you along your journey to becoming a sharper sports bettor. They have a lot of free stuff on the site, but you can currently take advantage of a 7-day free trial to decide if a premium membership at Unabated is right for you.
All right, we're back with Anthony Curtis. Now, Huntington Press publishes books, in case you didn't know that, Anthony. Are there any books coming out in 2023 that are of interest to our listeners? Like, hopefully, James Grosjean.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with that one. Again, the Ultimate Report. We're still waiting on one final chapter on that. I spoke with James the other day in the new year, and I said right after the new year, And I said, how are we doing with that chapter? I says, a lot of people are waiting on this book. And he said that he finally has got an opening in his schedule, and he's working on it. The book is ready to go. I mean, it's ready to go. We're waiting for this one summation chapter. And I may have explained this before, but some of the basic strategies for these games. But let me go back again real quick and say why this book is important. The reason it's important is he's talking about the carnival games, where most people play them at double-digit, deficiencies. The casinos as much as over 20% because they're playing them wrong. And these games played properly are 3 and 4 percenters, right? Sometimes even better, 2.5, 3, around there. So he has these basic strategies that will tell you how to play these games properly. The problem is some of these basic strategies are 5 pages long. So, not some, I mean, one of them, some of them there are lots of rules often. And I said, look, we've got to boil these things down. We've got to get it to a point that's a quick and dirty, right? A quick and dirty that will get people 90% of the way there. So that's what he's doing. And it's going to be real cool. The last chapter is going to tell you how to play these. Then he's going to come with his second one called the Lockdown Edition, which tells you how to beat these games through various things, through hole carding and various things like that. That's the one that the pros will want. But the first one's going to be a real good one for the masses. It's really well priced at $25. And one of the cool things about it is you get a real look into the mind of James Grosjean, because he's not only is he a great theorist and a practitioner, but he's an excellent writer and thinker. And he talks about how he comes up with these things and what's important and what you have to think about. And you really get a look into what Grosjean's all about. So we're still waiting on that. We estimated it being mid-January, but I think it's going to be more like mid-February. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, folks. We're trying. One that is
actually, that's faster than I was assuming. Yeah,
we're ready to go. I mean, the book's already gone through all of its paces, and all we got to do is, do a run through on that last chapter and insert it in. So, I mean, we've already got a cover. We got everything, So, I mean, the book is ready to go. We're just, as soon as we get it, we'll get it to the printer and hopefully get it back in a few weeks. That's about how long it usually takes. The one that is at the printer now, and we will have somewhere around mid to the end of January, is, even though we're in mid-January right now, but we're expecting it soon, is a new book from Don Schlesinger, which is, Don Schlesinger and Dave Broley, and it's called The High-Low Card Counting System, A Complete Guide to Index Play. And this is a very scholarly work. It's not something that a beginner is going to necessarily want to look at, but people who are into blackjack, it really gets down to the nitty gritty for the high-low system, what, different departures from basic strategy are worth. And, Don's famous for the illustrious 18 and a few other things along those lines, telling you which are the most important departures from basic strategy. And this one takes it all the way to the nth degree, about as far as you can want to go. So you can build your own system essentially there. Another book we've got coming out will be Blair Rodman, all about sports betting. We're working on that one now. Another one is going to be the 3rd edition of Michael Kaplan's Gambling 102, which is going to be just updates.
You mean Michael Shackelford?
Shackelford, excuse me. Kaplan's next. Michael Shackelford's The Wizard of Odds, Gambling 102. It's got a 25-page new chapter on advantage slot machines. Okay. And then I got to mix up Michael Kaplan's book on advantage play, which is going to be interesting. There's some great stories in there, and he really takes advantage play to the, as far as you can extend it. He's got these little like short stories throughout. He's got, long stories about different things. Grosjean's one of them, where he really gets into James Grosjean. Another one, he really gets into the nitty gritty of Phil Ivey and Kelly's son, what they did with the Baccarat edge sorting, that sort of stuff. But he's got these little quickies throughout about people who have used skills in an advantage play sense. One of them, believe it or not, is a guy who cuts locks in New York. He's like the greatest cutter of locks of all time. And he boils it down to how that's an advantage play, the way this guy did it, and how he used that skill to take himself all the way up to work for the like the classiest joint in New York City now, like the top restaurant. He went from like a nothing to like a food cart to like the number one place in New York City. So it's
Wait. So you mean Lox, LOX?
yeah, LOX. I'm talking.
Okay, I was thinking like the guy's a burglar or something. Okay.
Cutting fish. I mean, this guy, he's cutting fish for bagels. That's what this guy's doing, right? And it's really interesting the way this book gets down to the nitty gritty of advantage play and really what it's all about. And then one more thing, and we can talk to Bob Dancer about that. We're supposed to be expanding the number of games in his strategy cards, Bob.
Yeah, well, that's been talked about, and small amounts of work have been done. It's not the exact end date is to be determined. It will not be in January of 2023. I promise you that.
But I like this one because it's got a progressive component to it, and we get questions on the progressives all the time, and it's a really hard question to answer because you could concoct some sort of ways to understand how things change when you get to a progressive meter in video poker, but for the most part, you almost have to use software to figure out where you stand and the changes in strategy. And hopefully, what we're looking at is these cards are gonna do some of that work for us. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow, I'm surprised you can boil that down to a card.
Well, let me explain what's coming, and then maybe it'll be easier to understand. A man named Phileas Bruce, which is a pseudonym, but that's the name he's chosen, a computer programmer, made so much in his real life that he retired at a fairly young age. If he were on this call, he would be the youngest man on the call by a considerable degree. On his progressives, what he does is let's say we're talking about the part of the strategy where you're looking at king, queen, jack suited versus holding a pair of kings. The card will have in that section from a royal flush of 4,000 to 4,200, hold king, queen, jack, from or hold the pair of kings, 43 and higher, hold the king, queen, jack. So every part of the strategy will be in this range, you hold this, in that range, you hold that. So each of the individual sections of the chart that is affected by the royal number will be identified. So if it's a suited jack 10 and there's a queen in the hand, well, the lower levels, you're definitely going to hold the offsuit king, queen, or queen, jack. But at the higher levels, you're going to hold the jack 10. Now, this is going to be the number at which you switch, not counting penalty cards. So in other words, doing an average amount of penalty cards. So if you want one with including every last penalty card, go somewhere else or figure it out yourself. But if you want the one where it's an average amount of penalty cards, but as the progressive goes up, each of your decisions are identified. This is what it'll do.
And what games are you going to do?
To be determined. We definitely have a couple different double-double. We have Bonus Poker Deluxe, and we have some others in the work. The most popular game out there for progressive is probably 9-5 double-double bonus with several progressives. So you'll have one section on the progressive itself, on the royal progressive, but then there'll be an aces section. So there's a time where with 3 aces and a 3 and a 5, there's sometimes you hold the 3 aces and sometimes you hold the aces and the 3, depending on the level of the aces with a kicker progressive and the aces progressive. So there will be this individual section on that progressive, because those are largely or entirely irrelevant on the amount of the royal. Because if you're choosing between 3 aces or 3 aces with the 3, it doesn't matter what the royal is. You're not going to get a royal on this hand. And so we'll have a smaller section on 2s, 3s, and 4s when you would hold a kicker there. So it should be the size of a Dancer Daily card, which is it'll fit in your pocket if your pocket is big enough, but most pockets are. And I'm optimistic that these will be very useful for people.
And you know how we're going to promote it, right? Our saying for the Bob Dancer strategy cards: you can hold a tiny dancer in your hand. Elton John fans, right? Elton John fans out there, hold a tiny dancer in your hand.
As I don't know if that is a slight on my masculinity or not, but I'll get over it. Okay.
Yeah, we're looking forward to those, though. Of all of the products that we've sold, there's no, the cards are not books, so they're a lower price point, of course, but nothing has come close to the Bob Dancer video poker strategy cards. We've sold more of those as individual units by factors of, I don't know, 10, 12. We've sold so many of those cards because they're that good. They're that valuable.
And unfortunately, Liam Daly passed away a decade ago, which was unfortunate. He's not well known as a video poker theorist because he was a theorist. He wasn't much of a player, but he's been gone, and I'm moving on into different directions. And so the world has no video poker players that really have no idea of how much he has affected the video poker knowledge base, which it's been channeled through me, but a whole lot of that was influenced by him. All right, let's go on. There was this big face-up Pai Gow poker jackpot that's been in the news. Do you know anything about it?
Yes, it kind of went a little ballistic in terms of the meter. It was a $5 side bet. You're playing face-up Pai Gow poker, and it's a $5 side bet that if you make a 7-card straight flush, and it didn't have to be a royal, I don't believe. I think it was just any 7-card straight flush, you would get the jackpot. And it was approaching 4 million when it went positive. And Michael Shackelford, get it right this time, did an analysis. And we published a portion of the analysis in LVA and a Las Vegas Advisor, and found out, subsequently, not because of us, just because word had gotten out there that a lot of pros were going to play it, and they were playing it, as much as they could, sitting down and going for this. It was a tough play because the drain on this, the amount you were losing was upwards of 100, somewhere around 100 an hour. So, you had to sit there for hour after hour after hour for this rare event and, losing as you go. But a lot of the pros were going. Shackelford wrote about it when it was a little under 4 million, and it got to 6.4 million and finally got hit. I believe it was at Harrah's, and it was a professional poker player who hit it. And I knew people that were playing it. I wasn't about to do it, but I knew people that were playing it every day. And that's what the pros do. They find an edge and they go after it. And this guy popped it for 6.4 million a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, your chance of hitting it was astronomical, right? I mean,
yeah.
You could probably never hit it in your lifetime. But I had a number of people write me to ask me about it. And, my attitude was EV is EV. So, if you like the game and, I could see sitting down and playing it for a while, not kill myself over it, but, it's still EV, whether you ever hit it or not.
Well, it's interesting on things like that. We talked about it on our YouTube channel, the Las Vegas Advisor YouTube channel, where I know one guy who was playing it and was playing it a lot. And I asked him, I said, that was it, right? When it hit, he goes, yeah. And he goes, I've never been so happy for somebody else to hit something in my life. I can tell you, man, I can absolutely get down with that because I've been on like progressive plays where the best thing that can happen is you hit it, and the second best thing is someone else hits it and you can go home, right?
Yeah, and quickly.
Yeah, immediately. I mean, if you've ever been at one of those, right, Bob, where they're all trying to hit it, all of a sudden someone hits it, and there's this mass exodus. Everybody hits. All of a sudden, people are like milling around trying to get machines, and all of a sudden, there's nobody there. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, by the time the guy's paid, he's the only one on the machine.
Yeah. But it just goes to show you though that things continue to pop up. Their opportunities continue to pop up, and whether it's a contest or one of these progressives or something. Anytime there's a progressive, something can hit break even and go positive, and that's what happened here.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not an EV guy. It's playing that 40 hours a week. It's a $4,000 drain. It's pretty soon that can add up into real money.
Yeah, well, as I said, I wouldn't grind it. I mean, first of all, people smoke in casinos still, so that would be enough to keep me away just alone. But if you like Pai Gow poker anyway, and want to sit there for an hour or two, you're not, you're gaining EV, and
you know what?
Lightning can strike.
I'll tell you what, Richard, that is a great point. And I say this to a lot of people. I mean, this sort of becomes an analogy with playing the crappy, bar schedules. If you like to go to bars to watch a football game, and you like to have a beer or two while you're doing it, there's justification for that. That you're playing a game where you've literally got an edge when you start counting in the beer costs, right? No, same thing here. Let's say it's your dirty pleasure, right? That you like to play Pai Gow. This happened to be face-up Pai Gow, a little bit different, but you like doing it. Well, you're probably not going to hit it. You're probably going to lose money along the way, but literally you are playing with an edge, and
yeah,
you can justify it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of your life, you are going to be at about your EV that you played during the course of your life. And it doesn't matter if you lost on that particular game, you're still gaining EV.
Agreed. I do agree.
And I disagree. A lifetime is way too short for the EV to balance out. It is your net score is going to be dominated by your big wins and your big losses. For me personally, there was I wrote about this night at the MGM where my wife at the time, Shirley, hit a $400,000 Royal half hour after I hit one for $100,000. That was a life-changing event that was not doomed to happen by any means. Yes, we had an edge, but not a $500,000 edge.
Of course it wasn't. Of course it wasn't fated to happen, but now you've been playing for 20 years. You don't think your actual win over the last 20 years is close to your actual EV?
Probably, but but it's the big ones that count. It's the big it's what you happen on the biggest machines you play. If you most players, even a quarter player, sometimes plays for dollars, and it's how his dollar scores go that's going to matter, and it's going to swamp whatever he did on quarters. And so it's your lifetime is very much how you did on the biggest games you played. Just personal 2 cents, and whether you guys agree with me or not.
Well,
and if you don't, of course.
I like the fact that it's justification. Like I said, if that's your guilty pleasure and you want to play that game, in my opinion, you're justified for doing it, right? If you say, look, I love playing bar slots, then maybe there's no justification for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rarely, unless you're playing an advantage slot and you recognize something. But if you like doing this and you go, look at this, I get to do something that I probably shouldn't be doing normally, but it's okay to do now because it's positive. I think that goes a long way.
Very good. I think that's a good place to stop. It's always a pleasure having you here, Anthony. At the end of our show, we have a recommended section. So, Richard, do you have anything to recommend to our listeners today?
Yeah, my recommendation this week is a show on Netflix called Hit and Run. It's an action thriller. You know, if you like shows like Jack Ryan or Jack Reacher or anybody named Jack, it's that kind of show. So it's set in Israel and the United States, and it's got CIA and Mossad and shoot 'em ups and all that kind of stuff. So very well done. Only one season right now, but pretty clear at the end of it that there will be a second season. So yeah, I binged it very quickly.
So I didn't have a recommended, and then Anthony said something during the show that goes, "Oh yeah, we could talk about that." So part of Caesar's 7 stars is you get $150 free sports bet, in Vegas or in Nevada. Whereas if you make the bet, whatever happens, win or lose, 150 is returned to your account at the end of the month, as long as you have bet at least that amount. So it's a free bet. Now for locals here, Arizona is a different jurisdiction. So you drive across the border, which is 40 miles away, something like that, and 20 miles into Arizona. So you get their GPS tracking sees you there. You get a $150 free bet there. So once you have, in my case, Bonnie and I are both 7 stars, and we also have friends that are 7 stars. So we make it a family get together, so to speak, to drive across the border to place those bets. So once the money is deposited, it is simple. You can hedge it or not. As long as you're making reasonable bets, you're getting your EV. And so I was not aware of all this until fairly recently, and I've been a 7-star member for a long time and fairly in the loop insofar as gambling opportunities go, and I had not heard about this. So
I have a question. What if you've made multiple sports bets during the course of your...
As long as you get, you will get if you've made them of at least $150, you get $150 added to your account at the end of the month. And so if you
okay. So you could have bet $10,000 worth of action, you're ahead 10,000, but you still get your 150.
Yes, it has nothing to do with winning or losing. It is. I'm not sure what happens if you only bet $75. Possibly you get $75 back. I don't know. But for here, it makes no sense to bet less than the max.
Yeah.
So, Anthony Curtis, do you have a recommended for our listeners?
Okay, yes, I do, because that's part of the fee of coming on this show. I have to have something, right?
Right.
At the last second, I go, what am I going to say? And it popped into my head. This might surprise you a little bit. The most recent casino to add a parking fee is Resorts World. They did it as of the first of the year. They added a parking fee. It's a little bit different from some of the others around town that are usually they escalate as time goes by. You have to pay more and more and more. Their fee is a flat $10. $10 no matter how long per day. So if you're there for 10 minutes or you're there for 24 hours, you're going to pay $10, unless you are a slot club member. All right. If you are a slot club member, then the parking fee is waived every time. And the reason that this is kind of good is that I went and did it so I could park free there. And when you join, you get to spin if you earn 20 points, which is a straight $20 through, play 20 through, and you get to spin a wheel for a bonus. And in most places, that bonus starts at $5. But here, the bonus starts at 25. So you can visit Resorts World, get your slot club card, spin a wheel for a minimum of $25 in free play, and have free parking at that area on the strip. I got $35 when I did mine, so I thought that was a pretty good recommendation to put forward.
I play at Resort World. The parking structure is a half-mile walk from the. Now, during dry temperatures, it's not so far, but it's during rain and stuff, it's a schlep, and it's not covered. And so it's
Except,
Time for another recommendation, Bob.
no. One moment. Yes, that is true if you park in the south garage. And that is the most obvious garage. That's the one everyone sees. That's the one everyone parks on. But if you keep going north and either turn left off the strip or right off of Dean Martin behind, there's a second garage, which is the north garage. And that one goes an elevator directly into the casino.
aha.
Yeah. I didn't know that either when we first.
That's supposed to be the hotel garage.
Yes.
But you don't have to have a card. I mean, a room key.
Right. Nobody can know. It's absolutely open to anybody who wants to do it. And I always park in that one now. I didn't know about it. I parked in the one you're talking about the first several times I went until I went, what's that one over there? And I went and checked, and sure enough, same thing. You can get, it's for the general public, and the elevators go right into the casino. And one more thing, I was there on a Friday night, and if you want to people watch, if you want to look at beautiful women and beautiful men, this one is about as good as it gets. I mean, my head was like, wow, it's nice. They got the big club there that, people with money go there. It's pretty impressive.
Very good. And good talking to you again. And actually, I had no idea that existed. But although if you can arrange to get a black card, which is usually from a tier match at another property, when I signed up, I was 7-star from Caesars, and so that qualified me for a black card. Then you get free valet parking, which is right by the front door. And otherwise, it's depending on the night, it is $15 or $25 or $50 for valet parking. But if you can get a black card, it's free.
Somebody asked me if they have tier match there, and I didn't know. Do they? Do you know?
Well, I was there the first weekend, and they did.
Okay. You probably still do that.
So I don't know what the deal is, but they were still figuring out how they were going to work things. All right. Thank you again, Anthony. Thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.